Hello, how you doing tonight? I'm sleepy. It's late, but wanted to get my video in, and thankfully there's a good question from the internet, and it's how many languages do you speak and what are they? I suspect this is an automatic question because anyone who knows me knows the answer to this, but let's talk about it. Um, Number one, primary English, American English. I was born and raised in the United States, so I speak English. Now, I grew up in New York, and most people who meet me say they don't hear any accent or they don't hear a New York accent. But some clever people have noticed apparently there are certain ways people from New York speak, not New York City, but like the suburban state area. What's been pointed out to me is that often if I have a word and there's like the hard consonant in the middle, I sort of let it disappear. For example, I don't say ladder, I say ladder, and then this disappears. Or Latin, the old language, which I don't speak, Latin, not Latin, but Latin. I kind of drop it. Anyway, it's unconscious. But even when I was a kid, I was really interested in learning other languages. I took a course in Latin at some point. I did some Spanish after school lessons before it was a regular thing that I just went, but I wasn't really interested in Spanish. In our school system, we had a choice in middle school of French or Spanish. I should have chosen Spanish because I lived in New York. Duh, incredibly practical, almost necessary language to learn. But I chose French out of personal curiosity. And of course, let's be real, the fact is my school district had a well-established exchange program where the kids who study French eventually get to go to France. So to me, I was like, well, I want to go to France. And the Spanish learning kids, I don't know if they had a plan in place. I just don't know. So I did French for a long time, and I went to France, and that trip was very bad for me emotionally, and basically that was the end of my French, and I would say within 2 or 3 years of that time, it was all gone. German, too. I took German for a couple of years, but that also, it's like you didn't use it, it was gone. However, the other language I speak is Japanese. We're coming up on 20 years of me starting to study Japanese formally. Of course, it was on my mind throughout the 90s because Japan was a cool place to think about, and I listened to lots of Japanese and anime and video games, but I didn't start studying it till about, I want to say 2000. And yeah, it's very frustrating sometimes because the way the internet works, it's very easy to compare myself to other people. So I live in Japan. I have a lot of friends who speak Japanese. I have a lot of colleagues who speak Japanese. And it's very easy to get lost and frustrated when I look at all of them and I see how much better they are at Japanese. Or, of course, how many people I know who make a living using their Japanese skills. I cannot do that. My Japanese is certainly helpful. It's been very useful for me as a teacher and working here in Japan and living in Japan, of course. It's very useful. I need it. I married a Japanese person, so pretty important that I can talk to her. I mean, she speaks English fairly well, but, you know, when she starts going about her day and she starts talking in Japanese about how her day went, it's nice that I just understand her. I don't need to ask her to translate everything. But I bump into a lot of walls. I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure he's going to start explaining stuff to me, and I'm like, you lost me 3 vocab words ago. But really, it's like, I did learn Japanese. I lived my life up to a decent point, not understanding Japanese at all, and then through my own hard work, learned enough to use it and live here. I should be more amazed by that. I don't want to take too much pride in it because, like, I didn't get anywhere with it, but like I did that. There are a lot of people who don't do that. I work with a lot of people who have been here for years, and their Japanese is maybe very, very low or non-existent. I know I work with some people who don't speak Japanese at all, and they probably should by now. So it's fun to remember that. It's fun to think about it. It's less fun to think about how many hours it would take for me to study and sweat and fret about in order to pass that test, which would, in theory, open doors to me for more avenues for work. But I just can't. I just can't take that test. It's not going to get me anywhere. The payoff is not going to equal the amount of pain it's going to cost me. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up in the hospital if I tried to take that test, because when I first moved here and friends and people said, "Oh, take that test, take the test." I started freaking out. I had days where I just sort of spent my whole day panicking in my house, until eventually I said, "You know what? This is not worth it. I'm not taking it." And I immediately lost like 12 pounds of dread. Not dreadlocks, a metaphorical dread. Yeah. So yeah, I do. I speak English. I speak Japanese. That's kind of it. I don't know if it's going to be another language in my lifetime, given the fact that I'm never going to quite perfect Japanese. But yeah, I've accomplished that, and I should be proud of it. And now I should go to sleep. Good night, everybody. I love you.